Hello everyone. How are you all? Hi everyone. How are you all? Let's wait for another 2-3 minutes. After that, we can start with our session. Till that time, let's get to know each other. So, can I get a hi from you all? I guess it's the right time to start. So, yes, kick high whenever you get a chance and let the ball go high and far. Good evening, everyone. Hope you are safe at your places. I am Anshika Butler, your host for today. Welcome to the live session of Thinkers Point. It is a platform which helps you accelerate your professional journey by creating your portfolio on a website and thus showcasing your work experience, skills, and talents on Google. With our digital marketing expertise, we will make sure your name as a brand so that you can stand out in this highly competitive market. We conduct regular live sessions with industry experts. Our journey is never ending, attaining of knowledge from the experienced ones. Adding to the list of our mentors, we have another special guest for today. Mr. Aditya Singh, a TEDx speaker, author, designer, innovator, minimalist mentor, corporate speaker, and the list goes on. Mr. Singh got suspended from school back during the 7th standard, and from there, baby steps to create something big began. He started participating in competitions to drain the frustration. He ended up giving rise to his world with positive disruption. Just to make sure that he makes most out of this life, he has one motive: live life. He owns two independent provisional patents, Junior Scientist Ki Dunia and Developerholic. He received many awards such as Junior Scientist, Child Scientist, and got recognized by United Nations twice. Today we are lucky to have him here. He will be teaching us how to mark up prominence while starting up by not only sharing his experience but also how to get more skilled in every kind of management role. We welcome you, sir.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Welcome, sir. We are lucky to have you.
So,
Yes, sir.
I wanted one thing, like instead of having a monologue, can we have a this thing two-way session with
Sure,
all the
sir. Sure,
audiences
sir.
out there?
It's as per your wish.
Yeah, so at least we can give out a open chat box for people to type out what are their questions, what are their curious things. Because uh, end of the day, I'll be starting my session with a question. No PPT is nothing. When I was asked to come up with a presentation, I was like, people would get distracted while seeing the presentation, not the voice. So that's something, right?
Okay, sir. Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Okay, the chat box is open, guys. You can write your questions, whatever you want to ask him or whatever you want to know. To begin with, sir, can I ask something?
Yeah, sure.
While
Please, please.
Yeah, so while I was reading about you, like I got to know of the story of seventh dropout to that, sorry, seventh, like
Seventh
suspended
class
to 12th.
suspended.
Yeah, 12th dropout. So I want to
Exactly.
know that journey, how
Yeah,
that
obviously,
created a.
I'll be putting that part in the session.
Okay, so sure.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, you can drop down your comments.
Yeah. So are we good to?
Yes, sir. We are waiting for everyone to drop their comments.
Mhm.
You guys can drop your comments about anything, whatever you want to ask or whatever you are curious about. Hello, Aman. Aman, if there's anything you want to ask or you want to know about him or from him, you can drop it in the comment box.
Please let me know when we are good to start.
Sure, sir. So, there's a message in the chat box. Till now, I don't have any question, but
Yeah,
if
sure, Mr.
I have
Jain.
any,
You can ask anytime you want. You can drop off a text in the chat box anytime you get curious about any single thing. And yes,
okay. So we can start with your journey or your school journey, and if we can continue from there, and if anyone wants to ask anything, they can like drop their
perfect.
questions in chat box. Yeah, we
That
can
sounds
go
like a
with
plan.
that.
Perfect. So, before starting the session, I want to know, because the whole session is all about startup. I want to know at least from five people, at least like maximum how many of them can reply. When was the time when they got to know about the term startup or a term entrepreneur? What was that time? What was their age? What were they doing? Uh, what was the time when they got to know that something like a startup exists?
So for me, it would be about when I was 17.
You were 17. Okay.
Yes, nearly, I guess, in my 11th or 12th standard. Yes. Everybody else,
What
you
about
can.
others? That's the reason I
Sorry.
told at least five people.
Okay. So we have some comments.
In class 12, when I was in first grade of the college. Hmm. More people, one more, class 9. That's quite impressive. More, at least five. I got only four responses till now.
You all
Fine,
can
no worries.
drop down your comments. Yeah.
Yeah, fine, no worries. So, yeah, I guess the fifth one question, class 10.
Okay, we have
Perfect. So
Kashif.
I guess that's an average touching down to a 10th standard. So even for me, it was I got to know what being an entrepreneur is when I was in last phase of my ninth grade. I was in Rajasthan, and I got to know about the term something like startup exists when I was in eighth grade. Not by real exposure, but I was into debate competitions. I was a I used to do MUNs a lot. So there was this topic about Startup India, Stand Up India after the Modi government question. So after that, that topic, I had quite a bit research upon the topic, like the Startup India, Stand Up India, and that's it. That was the very initial time I got to know about startup. And the moment when I read this book named Underage CEOs during the end of my ninth grade, I figured out that yes, this the word entrepreneurship and startup are actually inside the same bucket. So that was a phase, and now is a time like it in the starting it seemed very fancy to get a title of an entrepreneur, but when you go through the journey you realize what it takes to be one. So that was the thing. And again, coming to the point of what Ms. Anshika asked me in the starting, the journey from getting suspended from school, being in seventh standard, dropping out 12th boards, uh, it was not a journey, but a lot of people told me that Aditya, your life will be like a roller coaster, and a lot of entrepreneurs do have a life of a roller coaster, but it was not similar to of a roller coaster. But more than that, it was like a camel ride, moreover, because there were a lot of bumps. That was not a thrilling journey, but there was a lot of bombs, and I never knew where the camel would lay down. So it was, I would quote, like it was like a camel journey. The time I got suspended from the seventh standard was, there was only one reason what this education system forced me and my teachers wanted me. They wanted me to be less creative, and I turned out to be more creative. And they were not able to digest that fact, and that's the reason I was pushed out of the school. Because when someone is not allowed to do what they want to do, and that too in a positive direction, they are termed as different. They are termed as aliens. I still remember me being in my 11th standard in a KV of Delhi, and doing things differently like the other kids used to in the whole class. And the English PGT would quote it as Aditya as an alien. So that's how the society treats. And I would turn down a particular incidents in the seventh standard. I did a project, and the science teacher was quite surprised that this person in seventh standard is able to do this, and she wanted me to give my project to a 11th grader who was actually going to pass out of the school in just like roughly a year. She was like, Aditya, give your project to this person. He will take it because he got lesser number of schooling life in his in this thing whole this thing. Let him take the project. You have more 5 years in hand, so you can take it the next year or the next year. I turned out to be a rebellious kid, and I reacted in a negative manner. I started, like, I was not able to act directly, so I acted indirectly. I started fighting with my own classmates. I made memes on those particular science teachers. Cartoons memes are like something which we term these days, are like we have started terming this past 1 or 2 years. But that times we used to scribble a lot of things. We used to. I hope you guys remember a comic book named Archie. So I was a great reader about this comic book of Archie. And being in a school of Chennai, we were so much feeded with this particular book called Champak. There was a subscription for Champak. So I was really fantasized after that book, and taking inspirations from that book, I started making cartoons on school teachers. One day it came to an observation, and expect what? I got sued from the school. So that was the very first time I realized, like, things do get negative when you turn out being extra creative. That was something which I figured out as a kid, more than a 12-year-old kid. So that was a journey. And in the meanwhile, I won't say that education system actually suppresses students, or they trump down creativity. But what I have figured out in the whole process of 7 to 8 years till now is being optimistic in the sense, if actually education system is pushing you down, it is a plus point. It acts as a boon to rebellious kids like us. For example, like, I have been someone, like, if you ask us to go in a forward direction, I'll come to the backward direction. If you ask us to move towards a north direction, we'll come down to south direction. Exactly opposite. So it acts like a reverse psychology for us. For example, if a teacher is like, Aditya, do this job, I won't do that job. I will do exactly the opposite. So if someone is asking you not to not to follow entrepreneurship, or if people are like, no, this is something really wrong, you end up doing the other thing. So if my teachers never told me to go for engineering or to go for medical, then I wouldn't have ended up here. If they would have always supported me, then I thought that no, there's something wrong in the matter. So I shouldn't go for entrepreneurship if they are supporting me. It would be a common path end of the day. So that was something which I thought, like, I feel lucky that all of my teachers, and obviously my dad, always expected me to go for engineering, but I ended up in exactly the opposite side, just because of having a rebellious attitude. So that actually counts in the journey. And at the end of the day, being optimistic is something. So okay, yeah, somebody replied now. Okay, nice. So when the topic comes down to highlighting prominence in the field of startup, I feel like there are only 5 ways which I have figured out till now. I was jotting down about all these things, like one of the five essential things which really takes into consideration when one gets an idea to when they launch their MVP to a real model and start generating revenue. That's actually something which hypes up and goes to a lot of vague things into consideration. But the initial matters which actually take place during the initial days of starting up, and people think that starting up is only about business, but no, it's not. Starting up is, even if you start something, even if you start cooking, then it's starting up, because actually you're moving out. You were not cooking till now, you started cooking now, so that's actually starting up. You're starting something new, and out of that shell, out of that nutshell, which you were into till this time. So I'll have one look on the comments. Cool. So the very first thing which I tell people, and I figured out in this whole journey, is whenever you start up, people always tell, like, personally, my father used to tell me, Aditya, have a good plan when you go for anything. But in life, there have been two instances repeatedly. I failed to learn from the very first instance, so the second instance came into action. The very first instance was when in early 2019 during January, I had a huge this thing lined up tasks to get done. Like whole months were planned. I was going to tons of events every month, every single day. I used to take flight. I used to travel like anything. Every single commitment, everything. But the real thing was I never planned about the opposite happenings, the opposite obvious things which can come in life. So the whole set of 2.5 month plan was solid. It was in my hand. I was in mood to take the flight the very next day. A sudden medical disorder happened, and I got operated and got into bed rest for 1.5 months. I was so chill. I did not get tensed or did not get into an haphazard situation. But that was a time when I actually failed to realize that plans never work out. So, and the very next year, when the pandemic came into existence, I literally had 3 months of travel plans, more than 27 flight tickets booked to leave for different events. The day we had Janta curfew, and even I was waiting for me to turn 18. And the day I turned 18, the very next day the lockdown got existent. 22nd, the day we had Janta curfew. So this was the very second time I failed to learn from my previous mistake of planning everything in a go. And that's the reason, after the second happening, I learned from my own mistake of planning in a short and coming up with the spontaneous planning. Like I term this as an innovative way of a spontaneous planning. Like better plan your things with a time bar of, like, say 24 or 48 hours, according to your reaction rate of your psychological level. For example, if you got something, if you got two things to go, prioritize those two things and then decide, like, what is my reaction rate. For example, if someone tells, I'm right now in Chennai, if someone asks me to leave for Bombay the next morning, what is the reaction rate? How much time I have to prepare? How much time do I have to book my tickets? How much time do I have to make up my mind, first of all, to leave? So after that, I realized, like, previously I used to have my reaction rate as 3 days or 4 days minimum, but right now these days, after the pandemic got hit, my reaction rate is around 12 to 14 hours only. So this actually helped me be like very spontaneous and save end of the day, because I still remember, like, a lot of money went into vain, because previously when I used to go to a lot of events, a lot of reimbursements were queued up, and literally getting 27 flights cancelled in a short, it's painful. And that was a time, and that's the reason I tell people about recession proof plannings. And this is one of the strategy which I use spontaneous planning over long term planning, because it's good. My dad always used to tell me that plan for the future, but it does not mean that plan for future into future into future. So there's a limit, like take that much food in your plate, the much you can finish it. Don't overload your plate that you won't be able to finish it and waste your food. That's the same thing which goes with plans, I tell people. And which actually, and the best example is, and the best example not for people, the best example for myself was the very first time my plans got crashed. And even now, the things which I was supposed to do in those 2.5 months, 80% of things are still pending. Literally 80% of things are still pending when I got operated way back in early 2019. To be precise enough, my own book launch. It's going to touch more than 2 years in hand, and I had my book launch to be done during those months when I was admitted in a hospital. Until now, the book is not into the market. I own the trademarks. I got the copyrights. Everything was done. Cover is done. Title is copyrighted. Everything is out, but it is yet to get launched. So this is the best example, and that's the reason when the second pandemic got hit, like second plan crash. I won't say it was an this thing worldwide pandemic, but I would term it as it was a pandemic for my own plans. And that was a time when I realized that Aditya, plans never work out, and that's the reason have spontaneous planning in hand, and that's a strategy. And the very second thing which I come down to and tell people like about startups is this one cool this thing. It's cool also, and the skill is known as cold calling. I still remember having a conversation with Mr. Variko, if people would relate as, and he was like, whenever I got stuck into things, and told, why don't you cold call people? For example, if you are into engineering and if you want to innovate or iterate in the field of medical sciences, and what's wrong in asking out help? People actually take their ego on the side, and they say that we are engineers, we won't talk with the medical people, because there was a time in 11th or 12th standard we used to discriminate people that you are biology student, I have maths, I don't we are superior, you are inferior, so now we won't ask people for their help. That's something, and that's the very first thing which people have to realize when they step out. Ego never works out, right? So if you don't know one thing, knowing never makes someone superior or inferior. Asking out help and accepting that you don't know something makes you superior, according to me. So if you don't know something, cold call people, step down cold feeted, and just ask. That's a strategy. Be it with your very first client, be it with your very first mentor, be it with your co-founder or anyone. So the very first thing is you cold call people, and that's something which really helps. At least the success rate is very low for cold calling. I agree, but yes, it's something. At least it has a success rate. Nobody cares whether it's low or not. Something is better than nothing. End of the day. So, and I come to the third thing, connecting on LinkedIn. Like connecting on LinkedIn sounds like a normal thing, but connecting with confidence on LinkedIn. I've seen people dropping out texts and not sure about what they want. They get connected with people just to increase their connections on LinkedIn, but they don't have any productive connections to make. For example, if you're approaching a person from a C-suite of Adobe, then you must have an agenda, you must have a motive inside of mind, that why are you getting connected with a person from C-suite of Adobe? That's something that was just an example. And for me personally in life, around more than 78% of connections, 78% of people what came into existence were all because of LinkedIn. The very 20% of clients which I got to start up my multi-domain business was just because of LinkedIn. A lot of people, even right now, I suffered from this one philosophical uh, disease which is caused by deficiency of co-founders, and that disease was cured by connecting with confidence with using LinkedIn. Even right now, I have a couple of people on board, like uh, I forgot to tell this one thing, like when I heard this word of entrepreneurship, and I decided like, yes, I don't want to be a junior scientist just because the Indian government tagged me and awarded me as, I want to be an entrepreneur. realizing the fact that scientists in India struggle, and they struggle for a longer time, and also realizing the ironical part that I don't want to leave India and do something. So I was the one who decided, who gave out a promise to myself that I want 10 startups from my own side. I want to found 10 startups before I turn 20. Right now, I have 6 startups live into the market, and a lot of people told me that stepping on 2 boats is dangerous, and here you're planning to step on 10 boats. But I was really sorry to say, and the same thing was quoted by one of my school's principal. She told that, Aditya, this is a fairy tale. You won't be able to start 10 companies. At least get prepare for IIT and get inside IIT. At least you will get a good package. And I was like, ma'am, if this is a fairy tale, I want to live the fairy tale. So uh, but in reality, an entrepreneur is not like entrepreneur. Why such a huge word, right? Because entrepreneur is mixed up with a lot of things. It's integrated. An entrepreneur is not someone who actually makes money or who actually leads a team, but entrepreneur is someone, according to me, if today, if your computer stops working, an entrepreneur should know how to fix that computer. If today your car gets punctured, an entrepreneur should know how to take out that stepney from the back of the car and change that wheel. If your tap starts leaking from your office washroom, an entrepreneur should know how to fix that tap. If if everything gets down, an entrepreneur should know to fix every single thing, or at least if they don't know how to fix that single thing, they must know a way to figure out how to fix that thing. Both are the same, directly or indirectly. So that was something. And to get back to the third point, connecting with confidence in LinkedIn, I guess 5 people out of my 6 startups, my co-founders, are picked up from LinkedIn. So that matters. My 5 TEDx talks, I hold an Indian record to speak maximum TEDx talk at an age of 17. So my 5 TEDx talks, 4 are from LinkedIn. So what else do we even expect out of LinkedIn? That's a cool platform. Go shoot connections, shoot productive connections, moreover. And I would come down to the fourth point: build a great first impression. This was in my fourth standard when my mom told me I bet a person inside the school. I just came to the school for the very first time. We got transferred from Gujarat to Chennai, and I had a fight with a classmate, and that fellow, that classmate, was a class topper, and I had a fight. He bet me. I bet him. He again bet me. I bet him more heavily, and he started bleeding. So, and obvious fact, the class teacher would support the class topper. So that was the time my mom told me, Aditya, first impression is the last impression. So even if you score more than the topper in the coming exams, the teacher won't be able to replace that first impression with your all the impression which you put. Like in a white bed sheet, if you put one drop of black ink, that whole white bed sheet won't be able to replace that one dark spot, right? So I actually believe in this thing of marking your first impression. I have seen people traveling in flights. Like I have been like the half of my time went by taking flights itself. And now, so I've seen people putting their earphones on and hibernating themselves during 1 or 2 hours of flight. But what I used to do as a kid was I started traveling alone since I was 13 years old. So what I used to do was these days it's a pandemic. So previously, what I used to do was I intentionally asked for the middle seat, and I would be like, I'll ask this person what he is into, I'll ask this person what he is into, and keep on talking during the whole time. Even if they are not interested, I will poke them and talk with them. What are they into? What they like? I'll tell about me to them, and that's something. And that actually goes through a lot of competitions when I went. There was an 8-minute presentation time. There were 3 people from the side of the jury. I literally spent starting 3 minutes to actually have a cold conversation and build my first impression in front of the jury. To be straight enough, I actually flirted with the jury in the starting 3 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. and the rest 5 minutes I actually focused on my presentation. And this particular psychological skill of marking your first impression actually helped. I nailed maximum of the competitions. So this is something which actually helps in the starting. And that was the fourth thing, like mark your first impression. Because people, if for example, if you are this person and you're meeting this person, and if you make a first impression, then after 10 years, if that person does not know by your name, because see, me, I got such a common name, Aditya. So people never know me by my name. People know me by my first impression. So I won't tell, hey, I'm Aditya this side, because they'll be like, I meet hundreds of Aditya each day. So I'll be like, I'm that Aditya who had this conversation with you, and I'm that Aditya. I'll put some instance, or I'll put the very first thing. So that is something which really matters, because don't expect people to know you by your name, because all of them are not renowned names. I won't quote any, but all of them are not renowned names. So if you're a common person, I was a common person, that's the reason I tell people, if you're a common person, believe me, first impression marks out. It's like a permanent stamp. So yeah. I still remember this thing. Yeah, I was in my fifth grade and I ran out of my house. I wanted to study in a school called Woodstock School in Dehradun, a boarding school. But my dad was like, if you go inside a boarding school, you will this thing, you will be spoiled and stuff. So I ran out of my home, believing that as a kid, that if I go, I run away, that school will take me in. I got caught from this. Like my dad made a complaint. He's obviously an Air Force brat. So he made a complaint. And before taking the train from Chennai to Dehradun, I was held up by a railway police. So because a 9-year-old fellow who is going on a train alone. So that person who was a railway this thing main SI sub inspector. I knew his name. I remembered his face also. And the very time in my 11th grade, when I was getting awarded by Tamil Nadu Science and Technology Center, this was the very time that particular person was, his name was there among the list of visitors. He was a SI of RPF back that time, but he ended up becoming a DGP in the due time. I remembered his name. Names are super common in Tamil Nadu. I remembered his face also, but his name was quite unique. And the person I was meeting with was also, she was a inspector. I told, ma'am, would it be fine if I meet this person? She's like, what's the reason? I told, I don't know the reason, I just want to meet him. I met him and I figured out that that face and this face is the same. I told him, do you remember? He was not able to recall me. I told him, I'm the same person who was taking a train at an age of 9. During that incident, I know that that was a negative incident, but at least that fellow was able to recognize me because of that very first impression. So this is something which really counts. And he was actually happy seeing me getting awarded. And I told him, if I'm getting awarded, you play an integral part of this. So nothing counts more than a first impression, according to me. And at the last and the fifth one, I'll say, always, whenever you are, whoever you are, and whatsoever you do, always focus on a story. Make a cool story. You remember since the very first standard, the rabbit and the tortoise story? Why we people were taught with stories, we not even taught with stories, we were fed with stories more than we were fed with food. We're like, read the story. You know for what reason? During our initial this thing classes, we were taught with Johnny Johnny Yes Papa. We were taught with values, using that don't lie, using poems, using stories and everything. I know that's an ironical fact of the education system, that they have been contradicting everything they taught. They taught something during the initial days, and then they contradict every single thing during the time we grow up. I agree to that point, but what really marks is what you were taught in your initial days, because that was your first impression. So you were taught using stories, and those stories actually reformed everything in your life. Like you were always taught, like, be a rabbit, don't be a tortoise. But you were also taught that even slow person can overtake a faster one, like the one of a rabbit. So, and also during the stories like ant and the elephant, a lot of stories too less down. But the main crux is stories really matter. People never ever believe you when you don't have a story. You must have something to vibe with that other person or vibe with that other organization. For example, if you're selling a pen, then you must tell the other organization or the other one that, see, this pen has this value, this pen got this, because of this pen I came till here. Whatever it is, you must have a story. And I don't have any example to quote with this, but yes, I guess story, that's enough. And the intelligent people, or even the aliens, would actually correlate with what a story is, because they know what is their story. I still remember this school person, Savi Sharma, the author, giving out real emphasis on everybody got a story, by her book called What's the Story, or I don't remember the exact book, this thing. I shared the platform in her book launch, and that was the very first time I figured out that this is actually a good book. And after that was the time I figured out that, yes, even I got a story. I never figured out this. uh, so yes, that is something. uh, there's more time to go. I invite a bunch of curious questions from all the humans out there.
You all can drop down your questions in the comment box.
Exactly. You're free to spam, like,
Yes,
post down
for
everything you want. Where did this question come from? Like, how? Whenever this thing comes about multi-level marketing, that's actually cool. I would say that when this term came about, multi-level marketing is actually cool. It helps immature and dumb people to grow out. And also, multi-level marketing focus on the strategy, don't focus upon the word. Because a lot of times, and still I know this procedure of multi-level marketing ever since 2011, yeah, 2011. Till from the time Amway collapsed. I don't say that multi-level marketing is wrong, but because of few rotten apples, a whole basket is rotten. I also don't say that multi-level marketing actually spoils people, but it spoils the concept behind it. People doing multi-level marketing are calling themselves of entrepreneurs, but and tagging that they are not doing a job and they are way more than doing a job. It's nothing like that. They are doing a job. End of the day, they are working under a company. They are increasing, or they are hyping up the sales of some other company, and moreover of an international company. And not just a company, they are helping a they are actually helping a paralyzed company to grow. Nobody knows about a product. Randomly somewhere a aloe vera product comes out, people don't know about, and they are like, make someone as an idol. They into their post, and they would be like, This person is earning in lakhs, getting six-figure income, and show that this is entrepreneurship. That's not an entrepreneurship. Basically, when you help a company make a revenue of a crore, they feed you with a Parle G biscuit, a 6 lakh check. Sorry, a six-figure check. That's something about network like multi-level marketing. Multi-level marketing, MLM, and network marketing both are same. I won't speak about that much. There's that, and everything is mind you. I worked collaboratively with a couple of companies on their campaigns, and I was pretty happy and satisfied to take myself out from the ecosystem to better not spoil myself and be a real entrepreneur, not a this thing, an entrepreneur.
We
You know,
got
there
it,
is a
sir.
difference. There was a book known as 48 Hour Startup. So in that book, 48 Hour Startup, they differentiate two things: entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs. And I guess if you read that thing, you will be able to relate what MLM is.
Okay. So, considering books, can you suggest some books that like can change that would have changed your world if you have read them earlier, or
Mm, the
that
very first
you are
one,
very fond of?
yeah, the very first one. I have never read a book completely. That's a weak point. And I obviously, so as people, they are very depressed. Even one of my co-founders was very depressed. He was like, Aditya, I'm not able to read one whole book. How the heck do you even finish books? I have been I'm talking specifically only about self-help books. For example, if Chetan Bhagat books and all, I finish them like this itself. But if, for example, if the books like 48 Hours Startup and stuff, so to be a good human, book from the author Chetan Bhagat flipped my life. To act intelligently and act smart, books like Wings of Fire and Ignited Minds, and the book which gave a sharp turn to my life, Underage CEOs, and a lot of books into consideration. And obviously, and moreover that, I quoted a couple of books just now, but I would suggest every single one of you to be like me, like not be like me, like be like me. Understand the words, follow this practice, and I guess you would be able to make really good choices while selecting books. There are cool stores like Crosswords, and if you people are from places like Delhi, Bombay, and like metropolitan cities, obviously a lot of cities, like even I have seen such bookstores in Bhopal and Indore and all those places. Go there, go to bookstores like Crossword, because Crossword actually has a cool business plan. Crossword is a bookstore which actually helps explore a lot of books. Basically, in simple words, a shopping mall for books. So what do you do when you go inside a supermarket? You go and figure out what all things do exist, right? I never knew that new flavors of Lay's came out without going inside the supermarket. I never knew that H&M got this new brand inside their own brand without going inside their own experience store. I never knew like Ather started manufacturing 6 variants of electric scooters before stepping inside their showroom. So that's the same thing which goes with books. The traditional practice being followed with booksellers is they stand on this side. There's a complete bench this way. You want this book, they will get the book and give you. You don't have an option to explore books. So what happens in this thing in such experience stores and supermarkets for books, I quote again, is when you go there, you have a whole ocean of books. You go, you pick every single book. And this is a very fine practice which I follow. I go inside and I spot all the weird books, like the books which will fantasize me. I'm like, this book, this is the title which I actually like. This is a publisher which I actually like. This is an author. That's a cool author. Who is he? Who is she? So grab those book, read the preface, read the back cover. If you feel intrigued, buy that book. That's simple. And if you don't feel intrigued, keep it back to the place. Just make sure that you don't bend the pages of the book, or don't wipe off your hands on the book pages and make it dirty while you read it. But yeah, just take care of books. So that's something which I really follow with books, and that's the reason I got a whole collection of books. And just one thing, picking every single thing which fantasizes you. Simple. Don't think much. Just go. If this thing excites you, jump into it. Simple. Don't think once or twice. Just jump. How is a book called teaching about entrepreneurship? See, books do contribute about teaching about entrepreneurship, not as a whole, but according to me, at least 6%. And if you ask why only 6%, because only 6%. There's no reason. 6% because of the fact that books only tell you what all things exist. It only helps you in awareness. But entrepreneurship as a whole, I cannot define entrepreneurship because it's a vast thing. You won't be able to learn what is entrepreneurship and you won't be able to experience what entrepreneurship is until and unless you go and dive inside the field of entrepreneurship. I have never seen, I'm a swimmer myself, I'm a national level swimmer. I have never seen anyone swim inside water without getting inside water or reading a lab manual how to swim. Nobody goes to Google, like people go to Google and see how to play badminton, how to play cricket. Nobody goes to YouTube and see watch how to swim, right? They get inside the pool, they get drawn once or twice, they flat their hands and legs, then they learn swimming. They lose their breath and then they learn swimming. That's the same thing with entrepreneurship. Until and unless you won't fail, you won't learn how to practice entrepreneurship. Until and unless you don't go bankrupt, you won't learn how to practice entrepreneurship. Until and unless you don't see a co-founder ditching you in the last moment and leaving your company, leaving you all alone, you won't learn what entrepreneurship is. Until and unless you don't see clients being over smart and ruling over you, you won't learn what entrepreneurship. Until and unless you don't see people coming and interacting with you, people coming and appreciating you or tumbling you even down, like your product won't work, you won't learn what entrepreneurship is. It's everything like a coal factory. You need to get your hands black in order to take that coal out and make it into a diamond. Simple.
We all agree to it, sir. We have another question. How to gain
How
trust
to
of
gain?
people in
Okay,
multi-level marketing?
don't gain trust for see if you're there are two things. There are two fruits. I don't know the what to call that as. Difference between oranges and the fruit quinoa.
I do.
Yeah. So oranges are the real entrepreneurship, and quinoa are multi-level marketing. So don't sell quinoa by telling people that this is orange, because people know what oranges are. And if one person gets fooled, then don't sell it, because end of the day you know that you are selling a wrong product. I'll quote this person. I'm before quoting that person, I'll tell you one more thing. Since I was a kid, I went to this thing. The place is called Vaishno Devi. We have this place called Katra near that. So Vaishno Devi is in a height. We have this place down there, Katra, and we come down using this thing, a mule, khachar. So I always thought that this person is a donkey, but I never knew that they are crossed. It's a hybrid in human. It's like a cross of a horse and a donkey. So everybody used to call it Khachar. I thought that it would be like something, some nickname. Maybe his name is Khachar. Like people do name their dogs, people do name their cats. I thought that that person's name is Khachar. And I figured out this thing when they started calling every single donkey there as Khachar. I was like, damn, that's not possible. Everyone is not a twin here. At that point of time, my dad told me that there's a difference between a Khachar a horse, and a donkey. That's something. There's a difference between entrepreneurship. That's a difference between business, and there's a difference between MLM. I still remember this person I left quoting, Raj Shamani. He won't. He actually laid off a 10 lakh branding of an alcoholic product. He was asked to promote a brand which used to sell alcohol for 10 lakhs. There was a complete deal for 10 lakhs. And he laid off that deal. He chose people's trust over the 10 lakh rupees because he's a person who never drank an alcohol, who never touched an alcohol, and even if he was forced to drink alcohol, he never sipped even. So, for the obvious fact, people telling that this product which you're selling has made people, you end of the day, you realize in multi-level marketing, are you actually selling that product to let people make best use of that product, or you're selling product to get your six-figure check? So that's something of a realization fact. People out there are actually marketing out. There are a couple of influencers. One day they will market some different fairness cream. The other day they will market some other different fairness cream. And the people who are actually this thing getting inspired using that influencer, they'll be like, first I used this fairness cream, the other day I used this fairness cream. Nothing happened to the influencer. My face got pimples, and I became my face got more worse. So that was something about it. So see that if anything, if you're doing, what is the main motive behind it? Even if you're doing something out of the box, see what is a pure motive behind it. If that motive is very genuine, it's very heart touching, then just do it. And if it benefits the society, then just do it. Don't think much. If you're like, no, I'm selling this not for the product, not for the people to buy this product, but for the cash flow which I will get in my bank account, then that's not something.
Okay. I guess that was enough for us to understand the basic concept of this element. Okay,
Correct.
so yes, so I guess there is the feedback form link in the chat box.
Mhm.
Yeah, you'll get your certificates once you'll fill this feedback form. And if there is anything else you guys wanna ask, drop it in the chat box.
Exactly. I guess we got around 2.5 minutes more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to know about something, we
But
can.
apart from MLM, please, I got two questions about MLM.
But so I guess you cleared you cleared that bubble.
Exactly. Exactly.
People had
I,
about
I, I I was actually after my this very first book gets launched, I was actually going to write a complete book, maybe a complete book, or there was a lot of content into action. So I was planning to make into 6 parts the multi-level marketing dilemma.
okay. So
Yeah.
when can we expect that launch of that book?
The very first book launch we can expect by end of July. It will be into the nearest bookshelves on Amazon.
Okay, okay, okay,
I'll be having two physical book launches, one in Chennai and one in Delhi, and rest as of now, the launch will be done by end of July for sure. But the physical book launch will obviously depend on the COVID cases rising.
COVID
Today
situation.
itself, we got around 2.73 cases.
Yeah,
And
so
that's huge.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today for this session. We got to
Thanks for
learn a
hosting.
lot from you. Those 5 points were really helpful, I guess, for helpful for everybody. And thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.